All right, welcome back. In this episode, I am going to share with you my birth story and how I achieved a totally unmedicated, natural childbirth experience using hypnobirthing. My name is Gianna Bedot. I am a certified hypnotherapist, somatic guide, meditation teacher, and mother. And if you feel you would love deeper support beyond this episode, make sure you check out the resources that are linked for you in the notes below. There are free resources and also information on how you can get in touch with me if you would like to connect deeper or ask any follow up questions. So let's dive right into it because I really don't know when he is going to wake up. He's been sleeping for about 2 hours now. This is the only place he seems to like to sleep lately. So I really don't know how much time I have to share this, but I've been wanting to get it off my heart and put it out into the world because I know there are so many other mamas, pregnant mamas, or mamas who would love to learn more about how to have a beautiful natural birth. And I want to get this out into the world. So I am doing it today and just going to quickly share with you my birth story. So, with my first child, this is my second child. I have a girl who's 2 years old. I did plan to have a unmedicated natural birth. Unfortunately, it did not go that way. I ended up getting the epidural because of certain circumstances that did arise. And to be honest, I just wasn't fully educated and prepared in birth like I was this time around, being a second time mom and doing more research. So, first time around, I did prepare using hypnobirthing for a unmedicated childbirth experience. And there was one incredible way that it did serve me when shit hit the fan in my birth experience. And I was 36 hours into labor. This is my first childbirth now, not my birth with him. And the OB essentially came into the room and was like, so you've been in labor for 36 hours, your water has been broken, and if you don't dilate further, we're going to heavily recommend a C-section because you really need to get this baby out by now. And instead of freaking out and going into panic mode like I would have had I not been so regulated and prepared through the hypnobirthing work that I had done with myself, I would have totally panicked. I would have totally freaked out and maybe even allowed myself to believe that, yes, I needed a C section and we should just do it now. But what hypnobirthing gave me in the first birth was the ability to stay grounded, to stay regulated, and to say, actually, no, that's not going to happen. In fact, when she said that to me at that moment, it went literally in one ear and out the other. And I didn't even hear it. I didn't even accept it. I knew my baby was coming very soon. And I held that in my mind. I visualized it. I did more audio tracks. I did more breath work as I waited. And then we did some cool spinning babies exercises as well that got things moving. And I pushed around 5 minutes. So, my birth story with my first, I would love to share in another episode. But for sake of time today, because again, we don't know when this little guy is going to wake up, he's sleeping on my chest right now. I would like to just dive into my natural birth experience where I did go through the whole laboring and birth process without an epidural. So, with him, second time around, you're a lot more confident. And I had a very clear vision of how I wanted my birth to go. Now, I am well aware that birth does not always go as planned. The first time around, I learned that. So I did go into the second birth knowing that, things may not go the way I wanted to. But I was very clear on the boundaries I was going to have in the labor and delivery room. I was very clear on certain things that I was not going to allow this time around. And so with him, I did a lot of deeper inner work on myself that allowed me to put up these boundaries, that allowed me to not only put up the boundaries that are saying like, no, that's not going to happen. And I'm in charge of this experience, but also internally. So second time around with my second birth experience with him, I did a lot of deep work on myself. I did a lot of hypnobirthing. I was listening to recordings literally every single day, preparing for birth, visualizing my birth experience, preparing for labor and delivery in my mind before it actually happened. So this was a daily practice that I did where I spent 5 to 10 minutes a day visualizing my ideal birth experience exactly as I wanted it to go. So I was planting the seeds of how I wanted my birth to go in my mind before it even happened. And I did this every single night in bed. When my toddler went to sleep, I would get in bed and I would put on my headphones and I would listen to this recording over and over again, sometimes twice a day, over and over again. And the reason why this is so effective is because your subconscious mind loves repetition. So when we repeat the same process, the same image, the same visualization over and over again, you are heavily programming your subconscious. Now, your subconscious mind is like a sponge. It soaks in whatever you are telling it, whatever you are showing it, and whatever you are visualizing. Your subconscious mind is also like a garden, and it's this fertile soil in your mind. And whatever you plant into that garden, per the thoughts you think, per the visions that you allow yourself to visualize, that is what will expand and grow. So you have this beautiful subconscious soil that is very fertile, and whatever you plant in there is going to grow. So every day I was planting seeds of a natural childbirth experience exactly as I wanted it to go. And so there were times where I should have panicked closer to labor and delivery. For example, he was 2 weeks late. I gave birth at 45 plus 6. So literally the day before I was going to be 42 weeks. And the midwives were kind of like, okay, do you want to plan an induction? What's the plan? And I literally was able to put full trust and faith in my body because I knew he was coming and I knew I was going to have this beautiful natural childbirth experience. I didn't say, okay, out of fear, let's have an induction. Now, if I did intuitively sense that something was wrong, or for example, baby wasn't doing well, or I was at risk, I would have done whatever I needed to do to make sure that both of us were healthy and safe. But I was being checked very frequently, and he was doing great. I was doing great. Of course, I felt like I had a bowling ball on my pelvis and was in a lot of pelvic pain and carrying, soon to find out, a 9-pound baby. But I had faith that he was going to come, even as every day passed. And I'm like, oh my God, he's still not here yet. I'm still not in labor. I am still pregnant and it's almost 42 weeks. And people were kind of like, what are they going to do? What are the doctors going to make you do? What are the midwives saying? And I'm like, yeah, we're just going to wait it out. We're just going to wait it out. We're just going to wait it out. So we get close to 42 weeks and I go into labor. I have this beautiful birth experience. Of course, birth was painful. There's no going around that. If there's anyone out there telling you that an unmedicated childbirth is pain-free, it's just not the case. Like, it's not about being pain-free. And I want to really highlight that when I'm talking about hypnobirthing. It's not that your hypnobirthing is going to support you in being pain-free. It's that hypnobirthing is going to help you ride the waves of the pain, helping you stay in control of your body, which was exactly what happened for me. And now the second birth was not without surprises either. It wasn't an issue, but there were some surprises. I was progressing very rapidly throughout my labor. I labored in the tub for a while. I was making all kinds of noises and breathing through it, getting through it. And at one point, the midwife was kind of like, wow, like, you're doing so great with your breath. I'm so proud of you. Incredible work. When I was done delivering the baby, there was a student in the room and she said, wow, you really set the bar high. I can't believe how calm you stayed throughout this birth. And so I'll quickly share the surprise that did take place. So this is not a very common thing that happens. And whoever I've told about this, they're just like totally shocked. They cannot believe this happened. So during my labor process, because of how big he was and where his head was, he was pushing my cervix down as his head was coming down and I was dilating. And so what that means essentially is the cervix was kind of getting in the way of him being able to come out. And the midwife was telling me this. And again, if I had not been calm, grounded, and connected, this would have totally sent me through the roof into panic mode. But I was so calm, so focused on my breath, so in my birth experience. It went in one ear and out the other. I didn't even care. And this is something that I probably should have freaked out about, or would have freaked out about had I not done the work that I do. So she's like, okay. And mind you, I'm at 8, 9 centimeters, I believe, when this is happening. It was either 8 or 9. I don't remember at this point. And my baby's head is stuck on my cervix. 8 or 9 centimeters. So I'm sitting there for probably 2 or 3 hours like this and just breathing through it. And, you know, I was so calm that everyone else in the room was calm, but they don't see this that often. So they're kind of like, okay, like we probably should, and my water hadn't broken yet. And she was suggesting that maybe we break my water to help the baby's head just kind of fly out and get him out because it had been a while. And because of what had happened in my first birth, where they did break my water, they did do all these things to like artificially get birth going, and it didn't actually work. I was very hesitant to do that. So every time she said we can break your water, I kind of just nope. I wanted to wait till the actual like last resort, right at the end when I'm 10 centimeters, then you can break my water. But until then, nope, not happening. We are going to stay the course and just keep going with this. So even when my son's head was stuck on my cervix and it 8 or 9 centimeters for over 2 hours, because of the calm, grounded work I did prior to birth, I was able to breathe through this. I was able to hear what was happening and not freak out and not totally panic and stay with my breath and stay calm and stay grounded because of the work. And this is really the gift of hypnobirthing. It's not that you're going to have this perfect birth experience. It's that you're going to be able to work through what does happen when it does, if it does, in a calm and grounded way, which is exactly what it gave me. I was able to actually stay the course and stay calm and grounded instead of saying, okay, like, let's get a C-section. Okay, like, do whatever you need to do. I stayed firm and grounded and calm in what I knew what was going to happen for me. And so this is the gift of hypnobirthing. So here's what happened next and how my beautiful son, Jackson Jeremy Bedeau, ended up flying out at 9.5 centimeters. I did allow my midwife to break my water. I felt comfortable with that. That was an intuitive, aligned decision that I felt really safe and comfortable with at that point, and I knew it was time. And that's because I was in touch with myself and in touch with my intuition and in touch with my body. It wasn't a decision out of fear. And he came right out, and we didn't know he was a boy. It was a big surprise. My husband yelled, "What is it?" I said, "Oh my God, it's a boy," which I was really actually not shocked, but also shocked because I was mentally preparing us for another girl, but also intuitively I had known throughout my entire pregnancy that he was a boy. But I was like telling my husband I thought it was a girl because I wanted him to mentally be prepared for having another girl because he did want to have a baby boy. But that's the gift of hypnobirthing, you know, to sum it all up, because it sounds like he's waking up very soon, any minute now. Things will not go as planned in your birth experience, but with the tools, you're able to stay grounded and make intuitive decisions that are out of your intuition and not out of fear. And that is the biggest gift that you receive from doing this work and preparing your subconscious. So you might be wondering, okay, like what actually is hypnobirthing? The work that I do with clients around hypnobirthing and what I did heavily within myself is a lot of fear release work, where you are releasing programming and fears from stories you've heard from others, from your own trauma that you've gone through in previous births, or maybe even some womb trauma from the birth of your own self, and releasing those fears so that you're not bringing that into the birth experience, that you are free of that. Because when we carry fear, whether it's from the past or whether it's fear of what could happen in your upcoming birth, your body tenses up. You're not able to stay connected to your intuition. And you certainly are not grounded when you're in a state of fear. You're in a state of stress when you're in fear. And so when we're in a state of calm, grounded energy, we can stay in that energy and make intuitive decisions for our bodies that allows us to have a beautiful, connected birth experience. Not a perfect birth experience. I'm not going to lie to you. After I came out of my birth experience and I realized that my cervix was kind of pushed down, I was pretty shocked. I was like in a state of shock after the fact. And I was able to, you know, calm it down and talk myself out of it very quickly. But I was shocked that happened because even in the moment, I was just like, nope, I don't care what's happening. I'm in my birth experience. I am breathing. I am pushing my baby out. At the midwife even said it. She's like, you didn't even care. I'm over here telling you that, you know, your cervix is being pushed down and you didn't even care. You're just like, yep, There were actually points in my birth experience where they were asking me questions and talking to me. And I remember not even responding because I was so connected to myself and to my body and in the experience of what I was going through that I didn't even care what they were saying to me. I was like, I'm going to stay right here. I'm going to continue to breathe. I'm going to continue to do it and get through this because it was painful. It was very painful, but there was never a moment where I thought I needed the epidural. Let's put it that way. There was never a moment where I regretted not having the epidural. The birth, the breath was enough for me because I was so prepared for this. And that's, again, the gift of preparing your subconscious and your nervous system for birth, right? It's not just about doing Kegels and stretches and birth prep physical exercises. It's about the inner foundation that we build for birth. And I do believe that this can be the most powerful and important work that you do to prepare for birth. Because if you're going into your birth experience with fear, with negative programming, with previous trauma, you carry that in. Your body carries that in. And it affects the way you birth. It affects the way you feel during birth. This is the biggest piece of it, right? It's how you energetically and emotionally feel. That is going to be what determines how you rate your birth experience, not what happened, right? We have no idea how the birth is going to happen. But what we do have control over is how we feel in the process of it. And this is the beauty of this work. It's keeping you in control of the way you feel throughout your birth experience. So no matter what is going on, whether they're telling you need a C-section or your cervix is getting pushed out with your baby's head, like in my experience, no matter what they tell you, you can stay calm and stay in the process and trust your body to do its thing. And I am so grateful I did this work. I'm so grateful I believed that a natural birth was possible for me, even after having a medicated birth for my first birth. And I actually left my birth with Jackson wanting to do it all over again, wanting to have another baby already. Like, not physically, like, obviously, I am not going to have another baby right away because biologically that's really not a smart thing to do. And also I love giving my babies some one-on-one solo time without, being interrupted by pregnancy. And I breastfeed for a really long time. I'm actually still breastfeeding my first once a day. So I want to give my second baby the proper one-on-one time before we have another one, if we have another one. But I left my birth with Jackson ready. Like, I cannot wait to give birth again, feeling like I love giving birth. And that is a crazy thing to say because a lot of people dread the birth experience the most out of everything because there's so much fear around the pain. There's so much fear around what could go wrong or how it's going to go, right? But for me, I was so prepared and so empowered that I was like, I want to do this again. I'm so excited to do it again. I cannot wait to do it again. And that's what I want for every woman out there, to feel empowered by their birth experience, to be free of all the fear, be free of all the programming that you've received from others, from all the movies that make labor to be this insane, crazy, terrible experience. No, it can actually be empowering. It can be empowering no matter what happens, no matter what kind of turn it takes. And obviously, it is unpredictable. We never know what could happen. And there's sometimes outcomes that aren't what we wanted, right? And there's painful experiences that can come out of birth. But again, like when you ground yourself and you do this deep healing work, even if you have a negative experience in birth, if you've done the healing work, then you're able to actually support yourself in healing from that birth experience. If the outcome didn't go the way you wanted, if it was a negative outcome, you can heal from it. You can heal forward and believe that you can do it again, right? We don't want to carry negative birth experiences into the next. You want to be able to believe that whatever your experience was, it won't be that the second time, that it can be different, and it will be. You have to have this deep, deep subconscious belief. And this is what I wish for you. If you're pregnant, if you want to become pregnant, that you can go into pregnancy and childbirth feeling empowered, feeling grounded, feeling connected to your intuition and trusting your body. No matter what happens, what turn it takes, you got this. You can make clear, informed decisions for yourself in the moment. That is the gift of this work. And that's what I'm so, so grateful for. I remember, in the hormone crash after I gave birth to Jackson, I was kind of like, whoa, like, how did that happen to my cervix? Trying to think of things that maybe I did during labor, like pushing too hard or pushing too soon, because I was pushing a little bit too soon than I needed to be. But then I remembered the gift of this is I stayed the course. Even when they were telling me that his head was stuck on my cervix, I stayed calm. I stayed grounded. And because I stayed calm and grounded, he was able to come out. And that's the beauty of this work. Calm, connected, grounded mamas will birth their babies exactly as they want to. And so, if you want to learn more about hypnobirthing, there's so much I want to share about this because it has been so life changing for me in both of my birth experiences, one unmedicated and one medicated. This work has had an impact on both in a positive way. Even when I did take an epidural, hypnobirthing still supported me in preventing a C section, which story for another day. If you want to learn more about this work, I have a brand new Instagram account that I've created where I'm sharing more and more about hypnobirthing and the fear, tension, pain cycle, and how you can prepare for a natural birth using this work. Or even if you want to take the epidural, doing hypnobirthing is still an incredible, incredible tool to support you. You can check out my new Instagram at the Hypnobirth Mom, and all of my contact information and subconscious resources are also linked for you in the notes below. And I'll be sharing more about this experience. I could talk about it for a long time, and there's a lot of stuff that I wasn't able to share because I am on kind of a time limit here because he is definitely ready to wake up. But that's all for today. If you want to learn more, again, check out the resources linked below. And I will see you guys next time.